Salutations, everyone, and welcome to Amaris Inquirer Radio. And as you can guess, I am Amaris. Hello. In case you're wondering, yes, this is a podcast, and it's not common for most podcasts to be done via YouTube because YouTube is an outlet for videos. But one thing about YouTube is that it's free, and for me as a college student, that's a plus right there. Even though I was originally planning on investing into normal outlets for podcasts, like apps that offer podcasts, it was a lot of work and money. So when in doubt, YouTube is the way to go. So you're listening now, which means that it's effective. Now I'm going to start off by pointing out 3 obvious things. Number 1, it is 2020. We are in a new decade. Huzzah! Number 2, it is the summer of 2020, our first summer in a new decade. Huzzah! Number 3, 2020 is the most eventful year so far. Some may say huzzah, depending on what's going on in your lives personally. You know, we got people graduating, getting married. Congratulations. Others may be like, yo, this year sucks. And I'm not going to fault them for that. Anyone that knows me, though, knows that I'm an optimistic person. And I'm a realist, but I'm also optimistic. You know, I believe that in every thorn, there is a flower. No matter how rough it gets, there's always something to look up to. It may take a while, but it happens. You know, that's why the saying goes, in every test, there's a testimony. And that's true. I stand by that wholeheartedly. But this year has been quite the year, in all honesty. We have faced so much trauma and tension because of the coronavirus. And then the issues with race in society and our political injustice system. People are getting hostile over the fact that they have to wear a mask, which is meant to protect them against the Rona. But they believe that the mask is like the pill from A Brave New World, completely brainwashing us. That crazy stuff is going on. And then we have the good stuff that people don't acknowledge often, you know. Women can still vote. A bunch of scholars managed to graduate from their high schools and colleges. College students got refunds because of the Corona, the CARES Act. And as a Black woman, I'm legally able to produce my own content on my own terms. But as people during these times, we often consume more of the bad than the good because the bad is shoved in our faces more so than the good. It's like raising a child and feeding that child more junk food than what's good for their bodies, because over time, the more junk you shove down that child's throat, the consequences will be much worse as they age. Diabetes, obesity, heart failure, high blood pressure, all that stuff. Whereas if you feed the child healthy foods that'll help them grow strong and strengthen their mental and physical muscles, they'll live on into adulthood. You're probably thinking, hold up, Amaris. Don't we gotta be informed on what's going on? Don't we got a right to the press? Don't you work for the press? You feel me? I'm not saying that we neglect the news. Yes, I do work for a news station, but that doesn't mean I only want us to report bad news. There are good things going on. And as people, we should also see the good in the world opposed to just the bad. You know, like the Kirk Franklin song, you wanna be happy. Then listen to something that'll make you feel good. By the way, the Kirk Franklin reference is not sponsored, so it's just a reference. I'm still a struggling college student, soon to be graduate. Anyway, as we deal with all the drama going on in our political system, but you know what? I'm not even gonna call it drama anymore, because at least drama is somewhat entertaining and gets resolved real quick. This ain't, nah. This is on a whole nother level. So I'm gonna rephrase with all this stuff, because I'm trying to keep it clean for younger audiences if they wish to listen. So I'll say it again. With all this stuff going on, people are trying to cope. Some people lash out, some people sing, some people march, some people do what they gotta do. My outlet has always been like to cope, I always listen to music. I love music wholeheartedly. You can ask any of my friends, any relative, music is it for me. Like my iTunes library is full of like songs. Like you think I was a DJ or something with the amount of songs that I have on my phone. And that's just on iTunes. I also have stuff on Google Play Music and Spotify. None of this is sponsored, by the way. I promise you. And I listen to all sorts of music too. So let me just give you a little backstory. I grew up in the city. I still live in the city. Philadelphia, city of brotherly love. Okay, that's me. And as a youngster, I became exposed to a lot of different types of music. My parents would often listen to R&B, hip hop, gospel, stuff they grew up with. My grandparents were the same way. But after a certain age, I started discovering things on my own. And that's because whenever I was in the car with my mom, she would always play either B101 or 106.1, which aired the most popular songs and the latest hits in music. And not gonna lie, I loved it. By the way, none of these stations are sponsored. And as I got older, I started listening to music on YouTube, whatever came up on my recommendations, whatever popped up on the side. If it caught my interest, I listened to it. And a lot of people think when someone says, "Oh, I love all sorts of music," that low-key means that they have a limit to the music they tolerate as well. But not me. Well, yeah, not me. You can ask anybody. Like if you look at my playlist and genre list, I got my electro pop, my regular pop, my classical music from soundtracks. Scores are included too, because I think that's under classical music too. I'm not sure. I even listen to music that's foreign. Like I'm a sucker for K-pop, Latin pop. I love me some Prince Royce. But my favorite, like my absolute favorite genres, like the majority on my phone, are rock and country. I do also like hip hop, massive love for NF, Lecrae, Eminem, and at one point NWA, but I can't really blast that out nowadays. But most of the hip hop that's released nowadays by some of these new modern artists that have the same kind of name and release the same songs that have the same beat and have the same lyrics, I can't listen to them because I really don't know what they're saying. Like I remember my little brother, he's in his early teens. He was listening to this guy and I figured the guy must have been heartbroken or something because he sounded all weepy and was mumbling. And I just couldn't understand what he was saying. He was all like, and he mentioned a female in there at one point, so he must have been real hurt, and I felt low-key bad for him, even though I didn't know who he was, but I felt his pain. Like it was a sad song, but it had a heavy and popping beat to it. I don't know. And turns out it's not just that one guy that raps like that. Most of them do. And some of them also spitball things at lightning speed, and it's amazing, but I don't know what they're saying. So most people say that the hip hop I listen to is usually considered gospel rap, quote unquote, like Lecrae, KB, NF. But I remember reading an article that NF didn't consider himself a Christian rapper, even though he references a lot with religion, and I respect that. And then there's not so gospel rap like Eminem and others that I can understand. But anyway, my absolute favorite genres of music are country and rock. When I say rock, I mean all of rock music. Soft rock, punk rock, alternate rock, just plain old rock. Yeah. And like I said, country. Now, I don't know why, but anytime I tell someone that I like country music, they just look at me and go, "Arr." And I don't think it just has to do with the fact that I'm black, because there are black people out there who love country music, and there are also lots of black people that are country artists. There's not just one, there are many. I think it also has to do with the fact that I am someone who was young and was raised in the inner city while being black. Deny it all you want, one way or another, race always has something to do with assumptions people make about you. So, perfect example. In my third year of college, I remember the supervisor / teacher of our media program. He had asked those of us who were involved in radio what music category we'd like to specialize in. And keep in mind that I've been involved with this program for like 3 years. When it came to my turn to talk, I said, country. And everyone just looked at me like I was the only chocolate chip in the room, and everyone was just like, country? But I didn't take it personal because our college radio station hardly plays country music anyway. We're mainly all about that pop and rock and latest hits. And I'm not ashamed. I love country music. It speaks some truth. I have spoken. However, keeping all the different types of music that I listen to, keep all that in mind, because there was a time where I was an outcast because of my taste in music. I couldn't really get into the music my colleagues liked because of my personal interests. This was during high school though. I didn't really face a lot of that in college. When you're in college, there's a larger mix of people. High school though, which was surprising because my high school was in the inner city, so it was very diverse, but it was still in the inner city. So there were a lot of people that were my age and were into the latest music, most of it being trap music. But they liked other things too, like pop and maybe some rock. I don't know. But it was very rare to find someone that liked country. Maybe a teacher, but based on my experiences, ain't none of my fellow classmates like country. It was preposterous, their way of thinking. Now, I'll give you a backstory to this story. So, from grades 7 to 10, I was doing online learning. I was very good at it. I made honors. And so one of my mom's customers at the time, my mom was a manager at a bank, and she still is, but at a different bank now. They had suggested for me to enroll into this college preparatory school in Center City. We'll call this school HSCC, High School Center City. It was a good school. The people were actually pretty cool. I was cool with all my teachers and both principals. I even visited the school when I was home for winter break during my first year of college to see everybody. But anyway, I ended up going to HSCC from 11th to 12th grade. Like, I graduated from their diploma and everything. And honestly, my first year there was difficult. Not because of the classwork and being in the classroom. Socially, it was arduous. No one knew me, and I didn't know anyone. But there was this one person that I knew, like I recognized her from elementary school when we were in some of the same classes together. We'll call her Flamin' Yan. But when I first saw Flamin' Yan, I didn't want to be weird and just walk up to her and be all random and like, hey, didn't you go to such and such elementary school? Yeah. Then one day, everyone is in the cafeteria before advisory, and she spots me. She comes over and is like, did you go to such and such elementary school? Yeah. And I don't know why, but I tell her my name, and her eyes just went bonkers, okay? I didn't know if she was having an epiphany or what, but she was just like, oh my gosh. And then she left. Like I said, it was my first year. It was weird. I got bullied relentlessly. Not physically bullied, but emotionally bullied, which was something that I've dealt with for years. That's one of the main reasons why I had done online learning. Everywhere I went, it was like a bullseye was on my back, and everyone was just aiming for that target. So it eventually got better in my senior year, though, because people started to respect me once they realized how cool I was, because I was a decent human being and would also offer advice to people even if they didn't deserve it. But I did have friends. I only talked to like 1 or 2 of them now, though. But my first year of high school was a big oof. Like I said, I didn't listen to a lot of the same music as everyone else. And I remember this one time there was this boy that I had a horrible crush on, and he was also a soon-to-be friend of mine. We'll call him Diego. So one time, Diego and I were in class, and he sat right next to me, and he was talking to one of his friends who would also be my soon-to-be friend. We'll call him Jorge. And I forget what they were talking about, but somehow I got in the mix of the convo, and then so did two other people. And then before you know it, we started talking about music, and Diego looks at me at one point and he asks me, "Yo, you heard that track too, right?" I just looked at him and I felt a lot of pressure on me because eyes were on me now. And I was like, I don't know. I mean, maybe. I don't really listen to that kind of music. Diego looks at me, Jorge, and Jorge is like, "Sis, come on, really? They thought I was playing, but I wasn't playing. I was that serious." And Diego just starts mocking me somewhat, and he was like, "Well, that ain't surprising. Why are you surprised?" I was like, what's that supposed to mean?" "I am confusion. America explain." I could tell that Diego didn't want to say anything at first, but he already opened up that gate. So he just ripped the band-aid off and apparently told me what most people were thinking, according to him, that I was the living definition of an Oreo, that I wasn't a real black person. I wasn't hood. What does that mean? I don't know. But what I do know is that I was both pissed and hurt. That was the first time anyone has ever called me an Oreo. If you don't know what that means, it's when a black person is said to be a white person on the inside. It's offensive, demeaning, because you're basically saying that person is neglectful of their own culture when really they're just more exposed and educated and are unclosed-minded. They're willing to explore other cultures since their culture is always explored by other cultures. We're always explored by other cultures. I have spoken. So I remember being slightly heated and bothered by Diego, and I just glared at him and was like, "Hold up. I am not an Oreo, okay? I am blacker than the Black Panther." I wish I had said that. I didn't really say that. I just wanted to sound cool for a second. But I did actually tell him, like, "Excuse me, sir, you're wrong." And then he asked for my phone in order to see my playlist. And at the time, I was mainly using Google Play Music since my iTunes was a little wonky. I can't remember why, but I gave him my phone. He starts scrolling through the artists, and I just saw his eyes. I was watching his face. I could tell that he found it amusing because he thought that this was proving his point. But then he stopped when he saw that I had Wiz Khalifa, not sponsored. He was thinking about taking back what he said, and the other dudes were even like, "Yo, she got Wiz. I see you." But then Diego realized it was only because I had that one song Wiz Khalifa did with Charlie Puth for Fast and Furious, "See You Again." Great song. Again, not sponsored. None of this is sponsored. When he gave me the phone back, I felt not humiliated, but as if I had let myself down. For only a second, I was about to be considered part of the in crowd, but then it went poof. Like, "Nope, sorry. No, not good enough." It sucked a whole lot. I remember going home that day, I was listening to my 80s playlist. Now, before I continue with the story, I feel like I should just say something right now. Like, I want to get this off my chest because this is a fact. Anyone that knows me knows that I consider 60s through 90s the greatest decades of all time. You can't convince me otherwise. I don't care that I'm a 1999 baby. It still counts. 60s through 90s define so much that we have today, especially in music. We gave us Frank Sinatra, Queen, David Bowie, Bryan Adams, Patti LaBelle, Michael Jackson, Diana Ross, LL Cool J, Will Smith, the list goes on. Even in leaders and activists, Dr. King, Malcolm X, the Kennedy brothers, Mandela, the list goes on, and I have spoken. All right, back to the story. So when I got home that same day, I did homework, ate dinner, and then I went on the computer and decided to listen to some of the music that my schoolmates were into. And as I'm listening and watching music videos, I cannot begin to tell y'all, like, my God, it was as if my brain had just jumped out of my head and decided to take a vacation and left me there staring at the computer. Like, I couldn't understand anything that was going on. I listened to about 5 different artists, and watch their music videos. And it was no wonder that the male population in school loved their videos so much. The amount of chocolate dipped peaches and coconut jugs that were in those videos. But you know what? I wasn't surprised though. Like, I knew what to expect, but I didn't know there would have been so much tushy and hoo-hoots. And there's a lot of artists that use that as bait nowadays, and along with bold language as a cherry on top. And it's not just in hip hop. I'm gonna be real with you. Different artists of different genres do the same thing, some more excessively than others. And I'm not hating. Don't think for a second that I'm hating, because these are artists. They're doing their thing to get that dough, the cheddar, the moolah, hashtag get it. Still, at the end of the day, I couldn't get into it. And you're probably thinking, hold on, didn't you say that you listened to NWA at a point? I did, but that was recently. It was mainly because I decided to conduct a research study on the social and legal structure of the American system between the 1960s to the late 90s, and focused on incarceration rates and police brutality towards African Americans. And a lot of hip hop artists would use music to express their concerns with police brutality, and NWA was very controversial, and they were very popular with sending the message to the peoples. So that was for a project I had to do for one of my college courses. I got A, not to brag. It was deep, real deep. But flash forward to when I get to college, I meet some peeps that end up being my homies, my squad, my crew. We all like music, and we listen to some of the same things too. Most of my friends are theater peoples because we're involved in theater, and so we do sing-alongs to our favorite Disney movies and Broadway shows. I'm talking Newsies, Phantom of the Opera, Lion King. None of these are sponsored. I'm just putting that out there. And like I said, I've been involved in the media program for 3 years now, going into 4, and I do radio. There's a mix of peeps in that crew, and we all like different types of music. We're all wandering people with great taste. And when I'm on air, I play a little bit of everything that I gotta offer. I play some Imagine Dragons, My Chemical Romance, AJR, Goo Goo Dolls, Coldplay, boom, 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 boom. The list goes on. And I do it all without facing judgment, because at the end of the day, music is music. So moral of the story is that music does not discriminate, and if it did, then life is meaningless. We have failed as people. There is no more hope for the human race. It is done. Thankfully, that's not the case. There is some hope, because I remember some time ago I was watching a video of a bunch of people dancing in a subway station in New York City to Cardi B Bodak Yellow. They were all into it, and they were all of different races. I saw white people dancing with black people. I saw a lot of Hispanics and some Asians in there. To the people that question my taste in music, you would be surprised if you found out the different types of music that your favorite artists listen to. There are country artists that listen to hip hop, and there are hip hop artists that listen to country. There is no such thing as white people music or black people music. Music is music. The only label that music has is the genre that it's produced. Who decides to listen to it is free reign. And when different people like the same thing, it does a wonderful thing. Like, I don't care how left you are, I don't care how right you are. If there was a song that played that you liked just as much as the other person, bet you hands down that you would be jamming to that song, no question. And I have proof of that from the video of the people dancing in New York City to Cardi B in the subway station. Another moral of the story, even when situations are about race, it's also mainly about the intellect of a person. Some people are born into ignorance. They're not born ignorant. No one is born ignorant, just like no one is born bitter. It's all taught based on experiences, unfortunate experiences, and it causes people to just assume ridiculous things about others. Calling someone Oreo because of their upbringing or interest, or calling someone reversed Oreo for the same reasons as to why the person that was called Oreo in the first place. It's all absurdity. And that's why music is the best way to cope during these times. Give yourself a chance to educate yourself while also listening to other forms of music. Even if you're skeptical about it, There are so many different types of music that are produced by different people of different races. Black people produce more than just rap and hip hop, and white people produce more than just country and pop and so on. Music is a gateway to a person's heart and soul. It don't discriminate. It's free reign. It can help us be the difference. That's my true story. I have spoken. God bless y'all and all y'all do, and keep on aiming high.